Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health one topic at a time. So guys, a few weeks ago I did a video where I think I was actually in my car. I talked about that I was going to a new normal just a couple weeks after my bivalent boost. I waited a long time to get the bivalent booster. I didn't get it when it first came out because we all know that the immunity from this stuff wanes so quickly that you kind of have to be strategic about when you get the vaccine. And I don't really want to get more than I need. So I wasn't in a place where I really felt like I needed the added protection, but I wanted to save that for around now. It was about 10 months after my last booster shot, which was Moderna, and this bivalent boost that I just did now a little over a month ago was Pfizer. So that was the first Pfizer injection that I got. And I said that I was going to do a check-in because after that shot I said that, just for me, and there's this whole calculus that everybody has to do based on, what your risk status is, how risky your life is, what's required of you, what you're choosing. I had said before that if my whole family, all my loved ones and friends were within like a few square miles of each other and we could form a bubble, I'd be happy for the rest of my life. But that's not the way it is for me. Everybody's spread out, and I feel like I was just really giving up too much at this point. If there were some nasal vaccines or something right around the corner, or even, 6-12 months away, I'd probably hold out even longer. But I don't think that's practical anymore for me. I think I was paying a huge price in other ways. And so I decided that after my first bivalent, or my next booster, which happened a little over a month ago, that I was going to start to find myself a new normal. Now, I said I'd check in. Here I am. So far I haven't been sick. I will say that I drew my antibody levels before and after. I do that at LabCorp, and so before, which I actually did it several months before because I did it about the 6-month mark, and then I drew the antibodies about a month after the shot, so just about a little over a week ago, not quite 2 weeks ago, and my antibody levels doubled, so that can't be bad. My husband's roughly doubled too, although his are half of mine, so I don't know if that's an age thing, a male thing. Everybody's a little different, but I think that what's significant there is the doubling. So that part gave me a lot of comfort. I don't have any illusions about the risk of getting COVID. I think that it seems that I'm protected for a while from contracting it, and then after that I'm really not, but I'm protected against severe disease and death. Yes, there is that lingering issue of long COVID. I'll wait and see if I haven't gotten COVID by the time I get to the 6-month mark. And by the way, I'm not trying to. I'm not being completely cavalier. So here's how it's going. When I go into something like a grocery store, or something where there's just no social cost, I'm not getting any kind of socialization out of it, then I would still wear a respirator, especially in places like grocery stores or Costco or something. I wear a respirator. And by the way, since I've gone into some of them, I'm like, I'm going back to curbside pickup. Like, I never liked going to the grocery store anyway. I go in there and I'm freezing cold and it's just so unpleasant. I don't really enjoy grocery shopping. So some things that just sort of serve to reinforce that, this was maybe one good thing that came out of pandemic, and I'm going to pretty much stick with things like curbside pickup. But when I do go into those places, I just go ahead and wear a respirator. Now, like I said, I was going to be using my Enivid and my Tafix spray. I am using both those sprays. I use the Enivid first, wait about at least 10 minutes before I use the Tafix. I find the Tafix really hard to use, guys, but I think it's effective, so I'm just going to keep using it. It's just a little bit unpleasant, and I talked about that in a video not too long ago when I talked about the sprays, but I think that they both work differently. So I think it's always good to have different layers of coverage, and in some settings where I'm not wearing a mask, I think that's very helpful. So I have gone to a couple of things over the holidays. I went to some gatherings. One was actually 50 people. That was my first outing. Can you believe that? I kept thinking that I've got some sort of a fear like loop in my head, that I've just been so habituated to being just so almost not totally isolated, but social distancing, that I felt like it was just the habituation alone was kind of feeding a fear that was becoming irrational. And then I thought that if I just went ahead and did stuff like this, like get into a room with dinner for 50 people, I can't even believe I did that, I thought that I would start to feel a little more comfortable with it, and I don't. And actually I kind of think that's a good thing. That's the only thing I did that maybe I won't do like much longer. I think like when I'm freshly boosted, checking that my antibodies are doubled, that's one thing. But in a couple of months, that would be a totally different thing. I don't think I would do that again. But I have done like smaller get-togethers with, you know, people that I know, people that I love. I'm not really eating indoors in restaurants, but I live in an area where it's very pleasant to eat outside still, so I do that. But I have gone in people's homes and gotten together and socialized more, and I feel like overall I'm better off for it. I'm going to be traveling pretty soon now, in a couple of weeks, and I don't plan to do anything but wear an N95 in an airport. I'm not so sure about the plane. It's going to be a very long trip. I'm going overseas, but I probably will wear a mask at least for most of that time. I also have, back when Synovia was clearancing out their products, I bought that little portable air filter, and you can bring it with you like on an airplane when you travel. So I'm going to have that. It recharges by USB, so I'll even be able to recharge it on the plane. I'm going to bring it, and we'll be mostly outside during this vacation. We got a place by the beach, and we're kind of outdoor vacation type people anyway. Restaurants will eat outdoors. So the big change for me is just being in the smaller settings and not wearing a mask. And sometimes just as a security blanket, it's a feeling thing. It makes no rational sense. Even though I've used my nasal sprays, I feel so weird going somewhere unmasked, but I don't want to wear the N95 necessarily in something really small. Like I go to my trainer, for example, and it's just the two of us. Maybe there's another client really pretty far away. And then maybe I'll put on a surgical mask. That's more of a security blanket, right? Because it doesn't do that much. But it does something. And I find that maybe that's like a little bit of a step down to getting more comfortable. And that's worked out well for me, actually. So I go to now Pilates in studio. So I used to wear an N95 doing that. And I'm now using the nasal spray and just using a surgical mask. And like yesterday, it was just myself and the instructor with me. Sometimes there's a couple other people in the room, but it's a private lesson. And as far as my weight training, I'm doing that with a trainer as well in a very small setting where they have 2, maybe 4 people there at most, and they're pretty far apart from each other. It's a private lesson that you do, and they also have a HIPAA filtration in their AC system. So I've done that without being masked, and I feel okay with it. I'm just kind of going through the motions right now. I can't say I honestly feel comfortable with this, and I recognize that to some people this might seem reckless. Please don't bombard me with all kinds of comments about how stupid you think this is, but the reason that I'm putting it out there is I know there's other people who are wanting to make a transition or wondering how to start or whether to start, and I thought if nothing else it'll be helpful for you to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, from me about what's going on with my new normal. So being indoors in smaller settings with my nasal spray and out a mask, so far so good. About a little over a month, maybe it's closer to 6 weeks since my booster, my bivalent. Yeah, so I'll let you know what I add on to the new normal, or if at some number of months, if I start to pull back a little bit, because I'll assume that my immunity is waning. At some point I will draw my antibodies again, because I think they start to wane pretty quickly actually. And let me know what you guys are doing, or if anybody's been either inspired by this to take a step forward, or if you've been inspired to, you know, really double down and be extremely cautious of the mitigation, because most people are not anymore, and I get that too. I totally get it. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. Let me know, and I will try to keep doing videos while I'm away, and I'll tell you all about travel, because I really haven't done any of that, not in this way anyway. I haven't been on an airplane since before COVID, so that's a little scary for me. Anyway, I'll let you know about it. Until next time, be well. Bye-bye.